All right, hey, what's up, y'all? So I want to talk today about the best sunscreens to put on your skin if you have to do it. So we'll go through a little methodology, and before that, I just want to make a plug for the benefits of being outdoors. You know, when you're outside, we've co-evolved with being outside for our entire existence. And we've co-evolved with the sun and being exposed to the sun. And in that process, we were also probably very smart about being in the sun, right? We use the shade as much as possible, and that's what we should be doing today. Unfortunately, mainstream conventional wisdom advice is always avoid the sun is bad for you, the sun is bad for your skin, it causes cancer, it causes aging. And there's definitely some potential damage there if you're not smart about it, but if you're smart about it, then you can get the benefits of the health benefits of sun exposure and the aesthetic benefits of looking good, and at the same time moderate your exposure to the degree that you don't experience the things that we're trying to avoid. So there's someone that's done a much better job at summarizing this information. It's Dr. Ruscio's post on the health benefits of sun exposure, and he goes through, does a meta-analysis of all the different studies and research and literature out there, and what we find is that actually moderated sun exposure where you build a tolerance is way more protective than using sunscreens and other methods of blocking sun exposure, because we want sun exposure for health. We just want to make sure that it's moderated. So I'm going to leave the details of that to Dr. Ruscio. I'd highly recommend going to this post. He's got a video where he goes through this in detail. Makes a lot of sense, very easy to understand. And before I get into the sunscreen piece, sunscreen should be a last resort in our minds, okay? Think about it. We're lathering something on our skin, and even if it's made with relatively safe ingredients, it's not natural, and there's still some potential to get some things inside your skin that you probably don't want there, okay, in high concentrations. So what you can do is just make sure that you're being smart when you're outdoors. Highly recommend having clothes that can shield you from the sun. So every time I go to the pool, every time I go hiking or backpacking, I'm bringing my wide-brimmed hat. I always have a long sleeve shirt inside my backpack. There's great safari shirts out there that are super lightweight, super cool, ventilated. They're designed to give you sun protection. There's also just long sleeve UVA, UVB sun protection shirts. And so that would be the smartest thing to do, is just to have some clothing that's going to protect you. You can also plan your events around the strongest sun exposure, right? So if the strongest sun exposure is somewhere around midday, maybe like 12 to 2 p.m., then if I plan on having some outdoor recreational events, I can plan on like a morning event or a mid to late afternoon event, so I'm still enjoying the outdoors. If I'm going to go to the pool, I can plan on being there a little bit earlier in the day or a little bit later in the day and try to avoid that peak time where it's just super, super bright. Or I could just use the shade. This is one of our favorite things to do. At the pool, I've got my hat on, I start to get red, I'll put on a t-shirt. You know, someone who may be more fair-skinned could just spend more time under the umbrella, but you're still out there enjoying your time in the sun. You can get into the water a little bit, get back out of the water, and use the shade smartly. And even when you're doing that, you're still building up a tolerance because you've got reflective sun exposure from all the different surfaces there. No matter what you do, what we want to do is avoid burning, because burning is what's going to give us the things that we're trying to avoid, like the damaged skin and the damaged DNA in cells, and this is what contributes to more of the melanoma, okay? So if you gotta lather up, well, I just want to make a plug for that one more time. The best thing is to just be smart when you're out there, and don't be a hero. For whatever reason, I've experienced it myself, you're out there and you're enjoying yourself and you see that you're getting a little pink and red, and for whatever reason, you just feel like you want to tough it out. Don't tough it out. Be smart. Put on clothing early, use shade early, and if you do that, you'll naturally build up a tolerance over time and you won't need sunscreens as much. Now, it may be good to have them just in case, or if you're super fair skinned, to put it on as you're building up this protective layer. So now let's talk about like how to choose some really good sunscreens. There's some ingredients you definitely want to avoid. Oxybenzone is one. It's a potential endocrine disruptor. It also has some allergy issues with a lot of people. Vitamin A sounds like a really good idea. It sounds kind of holistic, but the reality is that it kind of reduces the effectiveness of other ingredients. And it also causes this synergy of toxicity with some other ingredients that can damage your skin in ways that we're trying to avoid. And then sometimes you'll see these combo products that have sunscreen combined with insect repellent. If I'm in an area that has a lot of bugs, maybe that sounds like it makes a lot of sense. But The problem is that, again, there's this synergy of toxicity issues that we're trying to avoid, and it reduces the effectiveness of the other ingredients in the sunscreen. What you want is a simple list of ingredients, ideally some mineral-based ingredients like zinc oxide. Titanium dioxide is also appropriate. You just want to definitely avoid sprays when it comes to titanium dioxide because of the toxicity issues with inhaling. And then you can also look for other simple holistic cofactors like beeswax, jojoba oil, vitamin E, what's another oil? Sunflower oil. Those would all be fine for topical application, okay? And we've got some recommendations that have nothing but those ingredients here in just a moment. You also want to avoid certain types of products. So sprays, although the most popular thing out there, every time we go to the pool or anywhere where people are lathering up with stuff, it's almost always sprays. They're super convenient, but they're not effective. They don't cover your skin like creams do, and we run into this issue of inhalation of things that, even though on the skin might be okay, it's not going to be okay getting into your lungs. We also want to avoid powders for the same reason. And then we want to avoid those super high SPFs, all right, like the 50s and above. The reason for that is that, number one, the SPF rating usually only factors in UVB rays, and what you want is a balance of UVB to UVA protection, because UVB is the type of rays that cause sunburn. UVA does way deeper penetration into your body, and we want protection from both. And so you're looking for a balanced UV protection. The SPF does not give you an indication of that. Also, UVB or the high SPFs usually for a lot of people will give a false sense of protection. So if I've got this like super high SPF and I'm lathering myself up with it, then I'm going to spend more time in the sun, which is defeating the purpose of it, because eventually I'm still going to get burned. And eventually it's going to kind of rinse off or wash off. And then also, a lot of times these really high SPFs are going to have really high concentrations of whatever ingredients they're using, and even the relatively safer ones in really high concentrations are probably not really good for the body, okay? So what we want is we want creams. Creams are going to give you really good coverage. We want a broad spectrum protection, and to really understand this and know this, you need to use some of EWG's recommendations, because they've done the research behind this with these different products, ratings, and reviews. You want something that's water resistant so it doesn't come off easy, because even sweat can rinse off a non-water resistant sunscreen. And then you want an appropriate SPF. We'd recommend something along the lines of 15 to 35 SPF. And in combination with using shade and some clothing, that might be the perfect recipe for moderating your sun exposure, okay? Now, our top picks, and there's a bunch of them that check out on EWG's website, our top picks, because we purchased a bunch last year when we did our Natural Solutions class. We've got Badger SPF 35, which is a zinc oxide sports sunscreen and cream. It's unscented, it has a broad spectrum, so it's got that balance of UVA to UVB, and it's also water resistant. We love that one. Our number one top favorite is going to be Thrive Markets. So for Thrive Markets, we got a link in this post. You can go to the website, you can sign up for an account. Thrive Market is like a holistic Amazon. You can get all of these holistic food products and things like this, and they usually more align with us in this holistic health realm. And once you're in there, you just look for the Thrive Market sunscreen, and we actually love that one because it goes on super smooth and it stays on for a long time, okay? Now the resources that I've mentioned here, and again we have links in the post here, ewg.org, great resource for all things toxicity issues, pesticides and herbicides in produce, skincare, sunscreens, insect repellents, and they have a guide to sunscreens, which is a really comprehensive report. I can't remember how many freaking pages it is. It's really, really long. And then they have a list of their best sunscreens. Now when you go and look at their list of best sunscreens, I would look for something that is rated a number 1, green number 1 or better. They probably have some EWG, a couple of verified ones, but the two that I mentioned are our favorites. And then I would also check out that post from Dr. Ruscio on the health benefits of sun exposure. Last but not least, actually the most important thing is join our freaking community. community.superhumantransformation.com. We've got all this kind of information in there and more, because we did a whole course this past year on natural solutions where we covered not just sunscreens, but just everything that you could possibly put on your skin and clean your home with. And it's super, super, super comprehensive, okay? When you go to this link that we have in this post, you get a free trial. You can come in there and check it out, and I guarantee you're gonna like it, okay? If you got any questions, comments, or feedback, please send them my way. We'll talk to y'all soon.